Hello everyone, and thanks for coming back to the channel. So in today's video, Rachel and I are back. Rachel!
Yay!
And so today's question comes from Tess Loewen. What was your worst meet and greet experience? What was the most annoying meet and greet, and one where you almost broke character, etc.? So I'm going to start with Rach. Rach, jump into it.
Oh, I have to be honest, when Jennifer, she asked me this question yesterday, and I guess it just shows what a great experience I did have because nothing came to mind right away. And for those of you who may not know my story or didn't watch the Confession series, I was only in entertainment part-time, so I only worked 2 days a week for a little over 2 years. So my experiences were always very good. And then when I thought about it more, usually when I think about my experience in Disney Entertainment, it always is about my time with Snow White. But we do forget that Jennifer and I both had to do fur characters as well. And it's interesting because when I thought about my time doing fur characters, a lot more of those stories came up. And then I started to think, do people treat the fur characters different than they treat the face characters? So I don't really still have like what I would call a worse story or something that was bad, more annoying, I would say. But I also wanted to laugh at this, Jennifer, because a lot of the things that I found to be annoying, I wouldn't probably find annoying now that I'm a mom and I understand what it's like to have kids with me. So, but some of the things that I found to be annoying when I was spending time with Snow White, it is funny. It's like all of a sudden people like don't know how to work their own camera or something. Did that happen to you? I felt like you were in a pose with a family and then all of a sudden they couldn't figure out how to work their camera. It happened all the time. But again, it's like if that happened to me, I have these kids now, so it's like I would understand if like you're, oh wait, what's going on here? Wait, my battery, this, that, I don't know. Um, Another thing that would happen when I was spending time with Snow White, my favorite set to do would be to do the breakfast rotation at Epcot in the Princess Dining Acre and then to go to the country. That was my absolute favorite because in the morning, the kids are there for breakfast. They're excited for the day. Everyone's in a great mood. But what I found would happen a lot when you do your rotation and then you go offset. The character manager or attendant would come back and say, oh, there's, a guest at this table who their child was in the bathroom. Can you please go out and say hi to them? And again, it's like I completely get that now that I have kids, and you can't always just tell them, "Oh, wait till Snow White, is comes around to us." But so we'd have to kind of um, if some people take a little bit of their costume off to relax, they'd have to put it back on or fix themselves up to be able to go out and say hi to this family that they didn't get a chance to see in the earlier rotation. So that was kind of that would happen a lot, and it would be kind of annoying. But my number one thing that happened all the time that was very difficult, and this was when I was in fur character, is it's already hard enough to sign their signature in one of the character books. And this happened all the time where people would come by and they would want you to write these really long messages. Maybe if Scott was having a birthday and he couldn't be there, they would tell you word for word what to write, like happy birthday Scott, sorry you're not here. I'm not kidding you, it would happen all the time. And it's like it's hard enough to write Pluto, let alone happy birthday Scott. So like that was always like kind of a pet peeve. I kind of see it now when I scroll through Instagram. A lot of people make signs like happy birthday so-and-so or messages to other people, and they have the character hold that sign. And I think that's such a better idea because let me tell you, if you're one of those people who have the character write out something, it's very, very hard. And so maybe not do that. And so all in all, I mean, I truly don't have a lot of those experiences that certainly nothing I would call negative. The only thing I think someone ever said to me is Snow White, and I think I mentioned this in Confessions too, where a dad, they wanted the dad to come into the picture, and he said, no, I don't like Snow White. I like Belle. And it was just, more than anything, it kind of just makes me laugh now. It's like, just get in the picture with your family. But again, that's funny to me now, but it was just, obviously I remember that though. So everyone was always so gracious
How
to
did you
Snow White. And
react
so,
in character when he said
oh,
that?
I don't even know what I did. I probably just smiled and continued on with the family picture without that. But all in all, everyone is always so gracious to Snow White and so kind to her and so thankful for her time. But I did feel like when you're in fur character, you are approached differently. Kids are a little bit more rough with you. They kind of do like the run and pummel hug, of which is great and wonderful, but it's just, again, it's a different energy. So I wonder, did you have that experience as well, like with the fur and face? Like, do you feel like you were treated differently by guests?
Oh, and you guys who are subscribed to my channel, maybe you've heard me say this before. Um, so one of my first sets ever, I was Friar Tuck. I'll put a picture of Friar Tuck up on the screen. I was always Friar Tuck. Thankfully, when I did fur, a lot of times, if I wasn't friends with Rafiki, I was friends with Friar Tuck. And his costume was bomb. It was so light and easy. I loved it.
My, I'll say my favorite fur character was Mr. Smee. It was incredible because his hands are your hands, so it was so easy to write. The costume is very cool. So yeah. Anyway, just wanted to add that.
Oh, now I only ever did Mr. Smee for the parade. When were you Mr. Smee?
Mr. Smee, again, because I was part-time, and I didn't have a set bid, I was put in as a spare a lot. And if you do, a spare is someone that they want you to come in case someone else calls off, that they have to have that character. So if it's Cinderella's Royal Table and, someone calls off, then you're going to be put in there. So they always know that, a princess is going to be at this location where she's promised. And so sometimes if I'll face character, or I was only friends with Snow White, so if Snow White was good for the day, they might have pulled me to do a fur character. So that's kind of why I was like hopped around to a lot of different things. I think when I was Mr. Smee, it must have been in Adventureland. He's with Captain Hook, and so that's very fun because you're always partnering off him. And he's a lot of fun. So that was probably like the best fur character experience. A lot of fun. Everyone, it's just a great group. And I'm kind of getting off topic here, but my absolute worst, and I know you did this too. Once again, Disney Animal Kingdom, Dino Land, that Chester and Hester, those dinosaurs, Jennifer, you know what I'm talking about. What was that about? Do you know? I don't even think they have them anymore. These fur characters, first of all, it was very confusing because the Disney costumes in general are so pristine and so gorgeous. Even in training, they talk about how much Minnie Mouse's shoes were because it's like they just want you to have such respect and value for the costumes. But these dinosaur costumes were like the Velcro, and they wanted them to look cheap. They wanted them to look like they're part of this carnival, and I don't think people got that. So you didn't stand anywhere. You were supposed to walk around. So people are coming at you at all angles and pushing you and just you don't know what you're doing or where you're at. But that was like my worst experience in any kind of character. But anyway.
Really? I had no idea. I'll be honest, I was really upset when I saw on my schedule that I was going to be that dinosaur. I was so upset, but I went in with very low, expecting to have a horrible day. I went in, and so what I did, I ended up like dancing, and it ended up not being so terrible because I don't know why. I guess I knew, like, okay, I'm not going to breathe today. It's going to be horrible. I'm just going to hate my life. But I went in, but I didn't
Right,
want
your
that.
expectations were so low, it ended up being better than
Yeah,
what you thought.
I ended up making it funny. I was like,
definitely the worst.
like the dancing dinosaur.
I mean,
like,
that's all you can do is have fun with it because I don't think guests knew what to do with these dinosaurs.
They
It was
didn't.
like, who are they? What are they doing
They
here?
had no clue. I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna be like all crazy, like I was gonna be crazy dino. What?
But yeah, that was my least favorite. Hated it.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I should have been there.
I mean, that was just like here and there. It wasn't a big deal, but it was here and there, like I said. But it humbles you, and then you really appreciate when you get to be your lovely princess.
Oh, I can tell you my worst fur experience. I'll get there. I'm going to tell you first my worst Princess Jasmine
yes, please,
experience. Yes. So my absolute worst at Magic Kingdom one time, it was like a long, hot summer that year. and the Aladdin and I were like barely making it through. Thank God we had each other, you know. But some kid like didn't want to take a picture with me. I don't know if he was demon possessed. I don't know what had happened to this child, but the family desperately wanted to meet Aladdin and Jasmine, like the mom and dad. And there might have been siblings, but I don't remember them from this. I remember them having to restrain the child. Like you could hear him in the line complaining and wailing the entire length of the line. But when he finally got to me, he was like, I hate you! I hate you! I hate you! Like literally, I hate, like the entire time, refused to get a picture. I think they might have actually forced him to get the picture with me. Like they kind of like threw him over their shoulder. Yeah, the dad did. And I think they had him like up on the shoulder, like his head was down here, his legs were back there, and they forced the photo. I was just kind of like, I remember going back to the break room and telling the Aladdin, if your kid doesn't want to meet the character, don't force them. But now as a parent and stuff, like I can see why you would force your kid. I get it. Now as a parent, as a character with no kids, I did not understand. And like I don't force my kid to meet characters if they don't want to, but I see how some people do, you know.
Right.
It's very unique to the circumstances, but this kid hated Jasmine. I tried not to take it personally. Like it wasn't me. He must have been. It was
Princess Jasmine, not you.
What struck me is how young he was to be saying, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you.
Oh,
he was very young to have that. When my kids are like 3, I want to say Ariana might have been 3, and she said the word hate towards something. I hate something, and no, that is not part of our vocabulary, not yet. I'm going to teach her about hate and when you hate and what you hate, but I feel like that's something you nip in the bud. And I'm not trying to judge them. I don't know their circumstance. I don't know what was going on. I had no idea. So I'm just saying, like, that struck me. I don't want to see that on a child that young. I didn't know what was going on, and I was just like, oh wow, like
that is so extreme. But you know what I would think about, because again, like I said, and you agreed, where you see things differently.
The way I said I hate you, like he literally was saying it over and over like that. It was bizarre.
What I would be afraid of as a parent if that was happening, because sometimes I understand these parents, you're saving up, your Disney is expensive, you're like, we're going to meet these characters, but at the same time, if that were me as the parent, as much as you want that and to have those pictures, even if he looks awful, you know, there's other guests around, and he probably could have scared the other children and made them feel fearful, or just, why is this boy acting out, and it could have affected the other guests in a negative way. So I think as a mom, like, my choice would have probably been to remove him from the situation out of respect for the other people.
Should have, yeah.
But again, like, no judgment whatsoever, because we've all seen the tantrums.
Yeah.
I've been
there.
No,
I mean, when you say it like that, yeah, it's probably maybe parents just don't like it. Some things aren't worth it, I guess, even if you have saved up that much. I guess I don't know. No, like his case was extreme, so yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, that's extreme. I had no idea you had that story.
No, you're right. I guess one of my biggest pet peeves were the parents who would bring their kids with diapers that were like this ginormous full. Like I was like grossed out, so grossed out. I see how that happens now. Like it's very accidental. They could pee and soak their diaper in a minute. It doesn't take that long. Like they could have they could have started in the line with a dry diaper. By the time they get to Jasmine, it's full, and you're not going to leave and lose your place in line.
Exactly.
It's just there's so many things to see and do, you know. So I didn't understand all of this, and I'm not afraid of kid pee anymore. I was back then. I'm not afraid of it anymore. I go in there now. I'm
Isn't it funny, Jennifer, when you ask me these questions and I'm trying to think of these experiences, and it's like these things that I remember then, like, yeah, like the sticky fingers, you know, when you're at the dining experience and they, you know, put their hands all over you and you're thinking, great, now I have to spend my whole break cleaning my dress.
Their hands are in their mouth.
As a mom, you're like, I completely understand, like their hands, you can't constantly wipe them when you're thinking before, like, Mom, can't you wipe your child's hands before they get a picture with the princess here. But now I'm like, I completely get it. It's impossible to keep your child's hands clean
No,
at
they
all
would put their
times.
pens in their mouth, like they would
Yes.
hand you these
And then
sopping,
you have to
nasty
take it.
pens,
Oh,
hands in
exactly.
their
Yeah.
mouth, and then they want to touch you and hug you, and
And then they
like
want to touch you and hug you. Yes.
saliva everywhere. It was so nasty. Like
Yes.
now, I'm like, bring it on.
Exactly. It's like you're not even not even a second thought. But back then it was very different. Yeah, the pen's in the mouth, then it's given to you, and you have to take it.
And you're not afraid to get the flu, like as a mom,
Yeah.
like or whatever it is. I mean, you are, but you're not. Like you'll do what you need to for your kid. And I guess those aren't your, like as a 20-something, those weren't my kids, so I don't know. It's just. Oh, and then my worst in Pocahontas was when that person yelled out, "You're a savage! You savage!" Like while I was meeting a guest, and I couldn't even reply to like defend myself. Like I was like, what? Like I was not happy at all. Like I don't know. I know it was a movie. Like people might think, oh, it's just part of the movie. They said savage in the movie, but I took it personally. Like I don't know. I took on Pocahontas and I was like, you call me savage? I'll get my Powhatan tribe on you. Like I'm not. But I couldn't do that. It was a very immature thing to do. I'm sure they were teenagers. I'm sure it was out of fun on their side, not thinking. But I don't know.
What makes me think, I think we answered this question before, maybe in one of the confession series, and that reminds me, like if a guest says something, what are you supposed to do? And in your case, you weren't able to say anything, but I think I responded to that question with, you still stay in character. You don't have to pretend that you even heard that. You still stay mindful of the people that you're with now and entertain the guests that are in front of you. You don't have to entertain that. And that's what's so wonderful about the meet and greet experiences, is that the greeter is there to be your bad guy, so to speak. So if there was someone that's inappropriate or saying things, they're going to take care of it. It's never expected that the character themselves would have to go and do anything like that.
Yeah, I have no idea where my greeter was though. So in the Pocahontas situation, but
Right.
but I do, what I'll never forget is when we did character core training, was the emotion of being mad does not exist. I don't know if they emphasized that for you when you trained. They were like, okay, be happy, okay, be sad, okay, be silly, okay, be this, be that, and then they switched to be mad. What do you do? And like everyone just was supposed to stand around the room like we didn't know what being mad was. So I don't know. I just and then what was, but my worst meet and greet experience in fur was, oh shoot, what was it? Oh, it was Pluto. Sorry, I'll go back to Friar Tuck. Did I even tell the Friar Tuck story?
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't think you did.
Girls and their tangents, going off on tangents. So I'll go back to the Friar Tuck story. One time, it was when I was training and I was in the Teardrop, which no longer exists, over by, the train in Magic Kingdom, back by Toontown. Does Toontown exist anymore? I don't know. But so there was a line of us, like Pluto and, all the different characters, Mickey, Minnie, or whoever was hit, surprise characters, I guess, because we were all training. And I was Friar Tuck. And I remember nobody wanted to meet me. I had no line. Like I was going up to people saying hello. I would just get brushed off and ignored. And then finally, after a while, one little kid came up to me, will you sign my book, please? Or something like that. And I went and took the pen to sign for Friar Tuck, and the mom came up yelling, Johnny, get out of that line, that's an ugly character, Mickey's over there. And he grabbed that pen out of my hand so fast, like I had just put it to his book, and he grabbed it and he took off, and that was that.
Wow. Well, I was going to say that does remind me, because during my training, one of the first fur characters I was spending time with was Prince John from Robin Hood. And so I find that they put maybe a lot of lesser known characters, or characters you don't see out a lot, but definitely still have costumes. If you see them out and about and it's not for something specific, that might be a sign that it is someone going through training, and to treat them with love. And they're probably so excited but nervous and just want to give you a good experience. And I'm so sorry that that was like one of your first experiences. You're thinking, what am I getting into?
Shows you how shallow people can be towards fur
I
characters.
know.
Just kidding. No, but Pluto, I remember a bad experience in Pluto. Like, I was spoiled at that point doing Jasmine, like, and Pocahontas only for the longest time. So spoiled in that regard, like, easy shifts, doing Jasmine and Pocahontas to me anyway. But, and then they gave me a Pluto shift randomly. I think, but I was also being overworked at 60 hours a week. And then, like, to have a 6th day be Pluto, I was, like, not happy to be there.
Right.
Like, because Pluto is hard on the body. He's not, like, an easy character. It's hard to breathe. And, yeah, and that's another thing. You have to work up to, I want to say in training, they told us it would take about 2 weeks for you to, like, build up to where you can breathe properly and stuff in the costume, and the hardships of the costume, like,
absolutely,
you build up to it a little. So because you go from never wearing a costume to suddenly a heavy thing over you. So I just remember it was extremely difficult, and I didn't have the energy to be like a good Pluto. I know what a good Pluto can do, and I just didn't have it. And I remember a kid dropping a pen and me being like, pick it up, like.
Exactly, like
I can't, that's too much, sorry. I know, so that was terrible, and I feel horrible, and it is one of my biggest regrets. I know people say, like, don't regret anything, but I do regret being a sucky Pluto.
No,
that
I
day.
completely understand. And I remember, like I said, I had a friend who was a character manager, and she was telling me a story about how they had to have a talk with this one Mickey Mouse, who, again, yeah, I guess like the energy level was just extremely slow or extremely low. But that's the thing. It's like, you don't realize, again, the families that you're beating, like in your mind, you could be thinking, okay, just one more set or 2 more sets and I'm done. And yes, it is exhausting. And yes, it is, tedious. But at the same time, it's like these families, you don't know their story. You don't know. Well, regardless of their story, everyone is worthy of having the most magical experience. But still, it's just like, can you imagine, this family's been waiting 7 years to come here, and the favorite character is Pluto, and then they meet Pluto, and he's just like lackluster and drops your pen and doesn't pick it up. But so it's like it does kind of, you had to take a moment and really realize what you're doing and the privilege you have to give that experience to others. But I understand.
As far as annoying things, I completely agree with you 100% in all of the saliva thing, what we were talking about. I think that was the most annoying thing. Oh, I guess with Jasmine, the guys, that situation. Did you have a lot of dads?
No.
Yeah. See, Jasmine had that problem. I doubt she has that problem anymore, though. I'm really curious to know
if that was part of the change or part of the reason for that change. That is interesting to know. I guess we'll never know, but
even if it wasn't part of the change, whether it was or wasn't, I'm more curious. Did they notice that guys suddenly stopped wanting to take a picture with them once the outfit got changed? Because I remember it being so annoying for me, because I was already kind of slow in dining as it was. Like, I used to fight to try to keep up with the Cinderella who would pass me, or like everybody was passing me. And I was like, I can't keep up with you guys. And then to have the dads like, I want a picture too. And it was like, no, you're slowing me down. Because you wouldn't get a break if you didn't go through those tables. You had to be so fast, which is a huge complaint, I read, that the princesses fly through the tables. But it's kind of the way it's structured. Unfortunately, you're not given but like a minute or two.
Exactly. I completely agree with both sides, because now as a guest, the past few times I've been there, I've done character dining, because with kids, it's such a for me, it's such a time saver, and it is so expensive, but it's so worth your, like, money is time to me. And so to know that I can have both my kids here and we're going to be able to meet all of these characters in this amount of time, it's, you know, worth everything. But again, it's like literally 2 seconds. You're like, you get a picture, you get to say hello, and they're gone. But it's like, it's not their fault, because I remember you do only have so much time to make such a rotation. And that's why I said one of my annoying things was when you were offset, and then you like, I guess because they are so quick, a family would miss you and you have to come back out to say hi to them. You know, they would complain and say Snow White didn't come by our table, so they'd grab you and you'd come out.
And these families would take it personally sometimes. Did you ever have that where they were like, they thought that you did it on purpose?
I think so. I mean, maybe that's
for
me
me.
thinking that, but I
didn't
think so.
do it. Like, I remember having to like be like, look, I didn't mean.
Yes, and everything's happening so fast, and yes, you have a rotation that you know what to do, but people are getting up and down, you know, to go get their food, to go to the restroom, to do anything. You know, it's kind of chaotic. It's not as easy as a meet and greet where you have a queue line. So you do forget, did I go to this table? Wait, what? So
Yeah. And again, I was slow. I was one of the slowest people, so I thought I was taking time for everybody. Like, I was not meaning to. So, and then one where you almost broke character, etc. I do have a story about that, but I don't want to say it on YouTube. I'm tempted, but like, that was a bad day.
Aww.
It was a day that I was being overworked.
Yes.
And
that's
like,
what I'm so
I felt very
thankful for.
overworked.
Yeah,
like at that point, very shortly after I went seasonal.
Yeah.
And I did almost break. But I blame the Aladdin too, because the Aladdin was not being. He was over it too.
Yeah.
Like, he was really tired. And especially once I did go seasonal, how, like you said, we were able to enjoy it because we were only there 2 days a week. That's how it always
was for me, because it was part-time. It was just these 2 days. It was exciting for me. It was still, you know, I get questions a lot, I think, on even most recently with your videos about, did I ever get tired of the voice, you know, doing that? And for me, it was like, no, not at all. But again, maybe because it was only 2 days a week. If it were full-time, like you were saying, 60 plus hours, oh, I'm sure I'd have a different answer.
60 plus hours for months on end. Like, I couldn't go to birthdays. Like, my family time was really important to me. I didn't have that. School, I was in school. It was just awful.
And it's so good that at least you did have Aladdin to partner with. I remember when I would partner with Dopey, it was so much easier, because you do have that extra energy to work off of, and they want to have an experience with that character as well. So it gives you a little bit of break. It's easier for you to come up with a storyline to share. But yeah, so I always say I would have had a much different answer if I were doing it full time.
But I remember coming back to work with the Aladdin while he was still being overworked 60 hours a week. But his situation was different. He wasn't married. He didn't have family in town. Like, so I understood why he could work 60 hours a week. But at the same time, he was still getting burned out, because I remember coming back from the spa to go work at the parks, and I could tell that he was burned out, because he was like getting distracted very easily, not focusing on the guests. He wasn't, and I was like, oh, yeah, you're still in this 60 hours a week. Like, I'm excited to be here, and I'm actually excited to meet the guests. Whereas I remember that feeling that he had, but I was good, because I was getting my rest, my time apart, and not being overworked. But he wasn't, so yeah, it's kind of when he was burned out, I could tell. And I remember having to tell him, like, hey, look, we need to focus on the guests here. Like, he would like start talking about random, like, even having a conversation. At one point he started trying to have a conversation with me about something, and I'm like, look, we have a family here, you know, like, I don't know. So that stuff could happen, you know. I think he ended up leaving shortly after as well, honestly. Like,
he was done.
Actually they took him out of Aladdin. They ended up disapproving him, if I'm not mistaken. But he was already kind of, I think they approved him because they desperately needed an Aladdin at the time. Not that he was someone that they were very happy to cast. So that's pretty much, I hope we answered your question, Tess. Thank you so much for writing and commenting. Please subscribe to my channel if you want to see more. Links for The link for Rachel's Instagram will be in the description box below. And thank you so much, Rachel.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much. I love being on your channel and love answering these questions. It's so much fun for me.
Yay, okay. Bye, everyone.